Today on Sports Central, we're going over 5 reasons why the Georgia Bulldogs will make it back to the college football playoff in the 2020 season and how they're going to win a national championship. But once again, these will be 5 reasons. They're going to be in no particular order. So that being said, let's look at your number 1 reason, and that's going to be the receiving core for Georgia. Their only losses from the 2019 season include Cager and Simmons, and as you can see below, Lawrence Cager was their second receiver last season. He had just over 475 yards with 4 touchdowns, and yeah, Simmons was down the line a little bit. I believe he was their 5th receiver, if I'm right. So yeah, certainly those 2 losses. Well, Cager will be a bit of a loss, but certainly for Simmons, I mean, it's not going to be all that big of a loss. But yeah, certainly this receiving core is going to be very built up going into 2020. They've got a lot of weapons. They returned the top receiver in George Pickens, which he had just over 700 yards of offense with 8 touchdowns, and his average was 14.8, which is excellent. And they also returned their 3rd wide receiver in Demetrius Robertson. They also returned their 4th wide receiver in Dominic Blaylock, which, yeah, Dominic was a bit injured last season, but I think if you can go into the 2020 season healthy, I definitely think that this receiving core could be one of the best in the nation, no doubt on that. They also had in 3 4-star wide receiver recruits, and we'll get into more about that in a sec. But yeah, certainly for the receiving core, I mean, they got a lot of depth now as well. I mean, if you counted those 3 or 4 stars, yeah, I certainly think that this receiving core has got a ton of depth. And once again, yeah, Demetrius Robertson, as you can see below, he also had a decent impact on this offense, as he had just right around 400 yards of offense last season with 3 touchdowns and a 10.7 average. Moving on to your number 2 reason, it's going to be the secondary depth for Georgia. Their only losses in their secondary after 2019 include Reed and McGee. So, yeah, really this secondary's got a lot of weapons as well. It's kind of similar to the receiving core, except they've got a lot of really good recruits coming in, as you can see below. Yeah, they got Kelly Ringo, 5-star, and he's .998. So that's about as good as you can get, really, for Ringo. And he's actually their top recruit on this team going into 2020. Let me remind you, yeah, Georgia's got a really good recruiting class going into 2020. They also get Jalen Kimber, 4-star, 0.954, and then Major Burns, another 4-star, with a .926. So, yeah, certainly once again, they get 3 really good recruits coming in. They'll have a lot of depth in the secondary next season, and yeah, they had one of the best defenses in college football last season, if not the best. So, yeah, certainly for Georgia, I think they've got a lot of depth once again, and this defense is looking very, very good heading into 2020. And when you've got a good defense, I mean, yeah, that's a big part of the team that wins games. So, yeah, for Georgia, they're looking really good in many areas, with the secondary being a primary example of that heading into 2020. Moving on to number 3, we got the recruiting for Georgia, and I've already rambled on about the recruiting quite a bit. They actually have the best rated recruiting class of 2020, according to 24/7 Sports, so that's absolutely insane. Now, you got the best one in the SEC too, so that certainly is a very good sign heading into the future for Georgia. Their average recruit rating is .930, so yeah, I mean, that is a really high average recruit rating. I mean, you'll see out of most teams like a low 9, a low .9, or a high .8. So, yeah, certainly for Georgia, it's looking really good for them heading into the 2020 season. Some notable names, once again, Kelly Ringo comes up again. He's a 5-star. He's their top recruit on this team. They also have a couple other 5-stars. You got that offensive tackle in Jones. He's also a 5-star, .995. You got Jalen Carter, who's a defensive tackle. He's also a 5-star, .991. Then you get Darnell Washington, not sure what he's going to be yet. But yeah, he's also a 5-star, .98. So yeah, certainly they've got a lot of really good recruits coming in. And yeah, when you get 4 5-stars in there, yeah, Georgia's got a really bright future for sure if all 4 of those guys can stay healthy. And they also have a lot of high-end 4-stars too. As you can see, they got Mikael Sherman. He's a linebacker, 4-star, .98. And they also got offensive tackle Tate Rutledge, which he's got a .982 as well. So yeah, certainly this recruiting class is looking really, really good for Georgia. I think that this is going to be a bright spot for this team, no doubt on that. And when you got the best recruiting class of D1, yeah, that's absolutely insane. But yeah, nonetheless, moving on to your number 4, it's going to be the linebackers for Georgia. They had one of the best linebacking corps in the nation last season, as you know, and yeah, they only lose 1 linebacker in Tay Crowder. This linebacking corps is going to be very, very tough. I mean, this defense in general is looking really good. Once again, as you know, we went over that secondary a couple of points ago. Yeah, certainly they also add in their high 4-star recruit, Mikael Sherman. He was actually number 5 on the list for recruits for Georgia, and he was a high-end 4-star. So yeah, certainly for the linebackers, they're looking really good heading into 2020. They have a good chance of being the best linebacking corps in the nation next season. I mean, yeah, there's definitely talent for that. There definitely is potential for that as well. So, yeah, for Georgia, once again, they're looking really good heading into the 2020 season. And the linebacking corps is just once again, another example of that. So yeah, definitely be watching out for this linebacking core for Georgia. Moving on to your number 5 and final reason, it's going to be Kirby Smart. You can't mention him, or you can't not mention him in this video, of course. I mean, he's one of the more underrated coaches in the nation for me. I mean, people are always talking about Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney, and typically you don't really hear the name Kirby Smart in there as well. I mean, you got to consider this guy is 36-7 in his past 3 seasons. That is an excellent record. He has been at least above 11 wins in each of the past 3 seasons. He also went to the college football playoff in the 2017 and 18 season. As you know, yeah, they made it to the national championship. They played Alabama, and they almost knocked off Alabama. Let me remind you, I mean, this Georgia team almost won a national championship in one of Kirby Smart's first seasons. So yeah, and it's kind of crazy too. If you look at his first season with Georgia, he was 8-5, I believe, and that's not all that great of a record, but he really turned this Georgia program around. I mean, the past 3 years they've been excellent. They really have not had a down year since, and I think that's going to continue for Georgia. I mean, he is a great recruiter as well. I mean, if you can, I mean, you're looking at that 2020 recruiting class for Georgia. He has done an excellent job. Yeah, Georgia, no doubt on that, and he's still very young too. I think he's in his early 40s. So yeah, Kirby Smart definitely is probably one of the best coaches in the nation, if not the best coach in the nation right now. I mean, you got to consider like all that he's done with Georgia, and yeah, I mean, he keeps trending upward as well. So yeah, certainly I think for Kirby Smart, once again, one of the best coaches in the nation, and he's definitely underrated. So yeah, with that being said, that about wraps up this video on 5 reasons why the Georgia Bulldogs will go on to the national championship in the 2020 season. I definitely think, I mean, this team definitely is for real heading into 2020. They do lose quite a bit on offense. They do lose Jake Fromm and DeAndre Swift, a couple of big players there. But yeah, I definitely think for Georgia, they will be one of the better teams in the SEC next season, and I definitely think that they'll contend for that SEC championship game next season. So yeah, with that being said, that wraps up this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Georgia. Let me know whether you disagree with anything on this list or yeah, anything else. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Once again, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I will see you all later.